Hey you guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Christabel, the original Power Ranger Princess. But on this channel, I'm Princess Power Ranger. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be sitting down and chatting with you guys. I spent the entirety of last night drenched in my own tears, crying to the Lord. So, I thought today, whatever, I'm just gonna try and get my thoughts out. And I really just wanted to talk about family and stuff. I think so many of us, not only within the transgender experience, but so many of us experienced different levels of abuse, neglect, abandonment, estrangement from our family members. And I know for myself, it has definitely left me effed up in ways that I may not always acknowledge. So, the question that I get asked by so many people: does my family accept me? How did they react to me coming out as a transgender woman? And it's complicated because I think in order to understand my family, you have to understand the dynamics of how I came into the world. My mother married my dad, and my dad was pretty well to do. He was very successful. And in my culture, when you marry into a family, it's important that you give your husband a son. So my mom, despite the fact that she was not maternal and didn't really like kids that much, she knew that she needed to give my dad a son. So the first child that she had from my dad was my sister. My sister's name literally means we are still having more children. When I was born male, my family celebrated. My mom was like, thank God I gave birth to a boy, now I don't have to do this again. But from the moment I could articulate, it was very evident that I was super, super feminine. I identified female despite being born male. So right from the jump, there were issues about how I was expressing. And my mom sort of tried to ignore it, didn't entertain it. Like, she was the kind of mom, if she saw me playing with a Barbie doll, she'd be like, you better not lose that shit, because I'm not getting one for you. It was that kind of thing, you know. But she hoped that it was just a stage. When I came out to her, I made her sit down, watch a documentary about transgender kids. And I remember explaining, remember how I used to act like this? Remember how I was convinced I was born female? And my mom had an excuse for everything. Listen, I'm from Africa, and denial is an extremely long river. I digress. So I had to get to a point where I looked her in the eyes and I was like, Mom, I'm transgender. That means I want to become female. Her reaction or her response was, nah, yeah, that does make sense. But Dana, my child, who is gonna finance this endeavor if it sounds expensive? Why don't you just be gay? I know this. We are amazing, Balamfana. Who's that boy from next door, down the road? I can introduce you. Just be gay, Dana. And I remember having to say, Mom, it's being trans is different from being gay. It's being gay is about who you want to sleep with at night. Being trans is about who you want to wake up to, who you want to go to bed as, how you see yourself. And she was like, my child, I don't understand it. I'll do my research, but I don't want people out here judging me, so I will not judge you. And the one thing she said to me was, free will is an absolute of your existence. As long as you're not living in, like, if you're not going out hurting, taking away from other people, then free will, being yourself, oh, that is an absolute of your existence. Look, in the beginning, it was kind of weird with my mom accepting my transness. Look, she's an educated woman and she's very, very liberal. So I think me being trans challenged a lot of the ideas that she had about the LGBTQ plus. Because I'll be honest, growing up, my mom had these 3 friends that would do her hair. Now, her 3 friends, these queens were fabulous. They were biologically born male, but to be honest, I think at least 2 of them were transgender because they dressed female, identified female, would correct people when people would call them male. And my mom was in love with these 3 hairdressers. They would go out together. She would defend them. She would tell me all these stories about them. And she really stood in admiration. But at the same time, within her own family, that was not the life she wanted for her child. Never mind the fact that my mom dealt with just her own internalized misogyny, her need for me to perform masculinity in society because, look, we came from a pretty well-to-do family. And a lot of people don't really get why I don't just go back home. But there's a reason. My mom is a narcissist. I love her. I love my mom to death. But growing up was almost like a performance. We were the family that kept up with the Joneses. We had the pool, we had the live-in maid, we had a pool boy, we had a gardener. Girl, back in the 90s, my mom is driving her Mercedes. And you know the other black kids used to beat my ass up for that shit. Our gate used to open by itself, girl. The ghosts and the ancestors would open it with a little machine of things. Girl, we had that little blending machine that would take the fruit we would get from our garden. Yeah, we had a big ass garden, and turn it into like yolk. Girl, we were those people who performed. So of course, you know, like her having me as her kid was inconvenient. It annoyed her that I was so dark-skinned. It reminded her of my grandfather. I was always reminded of, oh God, Danam, you are so black. It's like they did witchcraft on your fucking ass. It didn't help that I didn't sort of fit into that mold that my family had constructed for themselves. Now, my sister, she was the golden child. Golden brown skin, the hair, woo! And my sister used to model, girl. She was that girl, like, I've always low-key been jealous of my sister, but she was that girl. And the whole family knew it. Now, never mind being trans, I already came from a narcissistic family where I was the scapegoat. Everything was my fault. From famine to war to dishes getting broken. You know I did it. So, growing up was very, very difficult. I dealt with a lot of abandonment and just feelings of like, I don't know, that I wasn't good enough and that I didn't measure up to what my family wanted. So, of course, when I transitioned, it only added another spanner to an already complicated family dynamic. And it was hard because coming out as a transgender person, you kind of hope that you're going to have your family like holding you down like that. But I didn't. I had to prove myself even to them. And I'll be honest, look, I transitioned like 13 years ago, and I still get misgendered. I still get misgendered in my family. Like, I remember my mom, like, 3 years ago being like, good boy. And I'm like, girl, are we still doing this? I remember my sister, when I came out, her calling all of my cousins and being like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. We went out together and people were staring with their eyes. Oh my god. And just her like embarrassment and just her having to deal with her own like religious objections against my transition. So it was hard, girl. And I'm out here dealing with university giving me shit, then work giving me shit, then guys that I'm dating giving me shit. It just felt like a lot. And the thing is, through all of that, I've had to be kind of like my own family. I had to give myself that very thing that I wish I could get from other people, which is love, support, encouragement. I had to be the one fighting for myself, wiping my tears away at night. I couldn't and I can't really depend or rely on family. Unfortunately, I think a lot of transgender people, just in general, a lot of people within the LGBTQ, we struggle so much with family acceptance. So if I had to be honest with you, does my family accept me as being trans? The real question is, did they ever really accept me? And the answer to that is complicated. Look, at the end of the day, my family has made peace with the fact that I transitioned. Do they understand it? Of course not. But have they ever understood me? And have they ever been willing to understand me? I think that's the question. That's, the issue. When I came back to South Africa, I so much wanted to reconnect with my roots, with my people, with my, family. But, it's been hard. I realized that I'm my family, and the family that I have is my spiritual team. The family that I have is my chosen family. The family that I have is you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me vent. Today was such a bad day, and I was crying all night last night, and I'm probably gonna cry again. But thank you. And I want you to know, whether or not your family accepts you doesn't matter. Sometimes in life, you have to give yourself that thing that you wish that you could get from other people. But just know this: I love you, I accept you, I see you, and we're gonna get through this. Others have gotten through it. Others have been thrown out, kicked out, beat up by their families, and stood strong in their heels without air conditioning and bad weaves. In the 80s, we can do it. I know we can. Anyways, Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Bye.